Okay, so yes, this is part three. Talk about construction safety program and what should be included in the construction safety program. In the old days, construction safety are actually pretty much governed by what we call the uh, F- Factory and Machineries Act (FMA). Okay, and it was like again more into manufacturing and all that and machineries and all that, so it was like drawn on that, you see. Then it went on to become more direct, like they take, like our construction safety was more on, taking bits and pieces here and there. There wasn't one specific plan for construction, or there weren't any specific acts for construction. And in fact, up until now, there isn't one specific act for construction. It's more into Occupational Health and Safety Act. So we adopt more from there. But Occupational Health and Safety Act is actually overall for everybody in Malaysia who is actually working, in some form of environment, whether in factory, in office, and all that, and construction site. So there isn't much of a specific uh, act, that is talking about construction safety. So then come into the pictures of CIDB and the green card program, and those are actually more like the organization now to look after construction safety, followed by also the Department of Occupational Safety and Health, DOSH, and they have a very specific department, and NIOSH, National Institute of Occupational Health and Safety. So those new are sort of like more revived kind of organization, more I wouldn't call them the police or the task force. They are more of set up, okay, to look after, like a watchdog, to actually look after the construction safety and health aspects. And if you don't fulfill, they are supposed to be more versed with the legality of the whole thing, and they can actually they are, I wouldn't say that they are the law, but then very close. There are regulations. These people are the regulations for construction safety and health, in the industry. So their rules and regulations do stand, so you cannot say that it doesn't stand. They are not the law, they are not the part of the law of Malaysia, but law of Malaysia, you're still talking about the acts, you see, and the legislations and all that. But this one here is more on the regulations that is set up for the industry, and because you are part of the industry, you have to uphold. It's just a BM, they use the Engineers Act, but they actually have their certain laws and regulations that take out from the Engineers Act, and they actually upheld that rules and regulations, the same kind of gist. Okay, so yes, so you need to follow. So basically they are the watchdogs, so we need to look out for all this department. So but what we do is, in terms of as an engineer, as a project manager, you really need to set up that construction safety program. No matter what, if you have that paperwork in place and all this documentation in place, and then the checking on site and the controlling on site is in place, and there are paperwork that supports all these things, you are actually in fact okay, if things do happen, if accidents do happen, because sometimes, like I say, it can be act of God, it's not so much of an act of human being, but there is a reasonable industry standards, and that reasonableness is actually stemming from that construction safety plan, and whether you actually plan it and execute it, rigorously. And if it's proven that you have done that, and you have worked on it, and you have come up with that construction safety plan, and then you have actually rigorously uphold that, and it's proven, then you cannot be penalized, because certain things are unreasonable. Certain standards, there's only standard up to certain reasonableness, and that reasonableness is the industry practice. So with that, let's look at what we're supposed to have in the construction safety plan. So you do have to have, you must have provision of signs on site, the signboard, whether we are keeping some dangerous dangerous items, like fire risk, toxic gases and all that. You must have signs, and you must keep certain things in certain places, that they put up proper combustible signs, fragile signs, toxic signs, and all that. And there are some mandatory signs, like certain word that you must put on face shield, must put on protection. Nowadays masks, a lot of these face masks, come into sight. The SOP must be there. And then these are the signs, prohibition signs, site condition signs, and then of course the other part is the equipment. You must provide safety equipment like goggles, spectacles, face shield, like face masks, safety harness, especially for high rises, gloves for working. If you don't provide gloves and and the fingers got chopped off, then you're going to be in trouble, you see. So all these are things that you have to put up, like to show you in your site, in your plan. You must have this, you must have this sort of sign. You must have corn, you must have blinking lights, you must have tabs, you must have safety tabs. That in the event you must return there, all workers will have provide with a safety boot, and they must wear it with safety jackets, and they must wear certain equipments and all that to prevent accidents or to prevent themselves getting injuries. So you must write that in the plan, in your construction program. And then of course you must put that down, like you must do this, they must do this, they must wear this, they must pay attention to certain things, So these are some examples, to ensure, to be alert, etc. So these are all part and parcel of your construction safety plan. And then you must administer that. These things must be given to the rest of the company. They must understand the regulation. As CIDB, they actually require certain work permit. If you don't have that work permit, you shouldn't be entering into the site. And then these regulations must be communicated to all the workers before they enter the site, and then they must practice it. And if you don't brief them, and then they happen to be in to die or have problems, then it becomes your problem. And part of the meetings also, you must review on the regulations and the safety meetings and all that. Are they doing it? Is there any things that needs to be reviewed? And there are certain work also that must be properly planned. And we need to talk about that. So these are very general items that you must have in your safety program. Okay, then you will have specific work, very specific work, like scaffolding, like high-rise safety harnesses, guard rails, and installations of formwork and temporary work, especially scaffoldings. So those are very specific work-based safety item that you must put into your program as well. So generally, you talk about what to wear, how many meetings you must have, how many reviews you must have, how do you communicate your program to the workers? How are they trained? Are they being trained to wear their safety boots? Are they being trained to wear their helmets? Who is supposed to wear what colors? All these things must be listed down in that program. Whether you do it or not is another story, but you must write it down. If you don't write it down, and if something do happen, or all these safety authority come and onto your head, you have nothing to show them, then you may as well go and jump down Sarawak River and be swallowed by the crocodiles. Okay, it's just as good as that. You just can't even talk anymore, at the end of the day. So you must have that. List it down, write it down, and then talk about how you administer, talk about how you educate your workers, talk about all the writing on the wall, about what to do, talk about the different signage, it must be there in the program. Okay,